last thing for you. I was at the Board of Governors press conference on Tuesday, listening to Adam Silver. Just, I'm a boxing guy, and he was slipping those expansion punches left and right, Rachel. Like, he was slipping and dodging. He had 2 Seattle area reporters there just kind of hammering him with details on expansion, and he didn't really offer much. And that was my big takeaway from Adam Silver's availability, that even though he announced this investigative committee, like, I don't know what the hell this is, like, just they're going to do an in-depth study, like they haven't been doing it already. Like, come on. Like, they're going to really dig in now. It's day one of the expansion conversation. My takeaway was that expansion's really far away. It's really far away for the NBA. And am I as convinced as I used to be that, before the end of this decade, we're going to get a 31st and 32nd team? No, I'm not. Am I as convinced as I used to be that Seattle is definitely going to get a team? No, I'm not. Like, Adam's a very, very smart guy, and he says everything he says is for a reason. And, there was very purposeful language in what he said at his press conference about kind of like, just everybody pump the brakes here. Like, we're going to start talking about expansion, but we haven't decided on expansion. We have to look at the economics. We have to look at the potential owners. We have to look at the dilution of talent. All realistic things that you should look into. But I was of the opinion 6 months ago that, all the rhetoric aside, you were going to bring a team to Vegas. There's 3 major league sports here already, or 2 and a third coming. And you're going to go back to Seattle because Seattle's proven it can succeed with the WNBA, and you kind of owe them one.
You have a rabid fan base there ready to make. Look at the Kraken, right? It instantly became one of the best-selling merchandise teams in the NHL, et cetera, et cetera.
Instant success. Bring the Sonics name back. I think the Thunder already said they're willing to do that.
Of course.
But like, what do you think now? Like, where are you on expansion? Because it is, to me, an inevitability, but it's not to me now. It's not an inevitability before the end of the decade, which I absolutely would have bet on, a year ago of this time. Where do you stand on that?
I think if you looked between the lines, as you said, Adam says nothing that isn't on purpose. It's some of the things he said. You can see the nuggets of why they have pumped the brakes on this a little bit, certainly from what the collective expectation was. Remember, in 2020, he said expansion was that was the NBA's manifest destiny. He's not saying that anymore. And I think there were a few things he mentioned that caught my ear. One of them was about the dissolution of talent. And I think in a league that, as much as they will, raise their hands and say, look at how much we rated here, they have faced falling TV ratings in the regular season. They're definitely worse than they used to be, and they're pretty much trending in one direction. So do you want to dilute your talent pool and have less of the big name stars that you do have in as many markets, as a high percentage of markets as you do now? Because you won't. And you'll have more teams that don't have anyone that they want to root for in particular. And that can be a real problem. I also think, and this came out of a conversation I had with Mark Cuban when I was in Las Vegas, he said, the TV money now is so big for this contract. They are getting so much money that they have to decide if they want to share it. And yes, the expansion fee that a potential new owner would pay in is enormous. And it's going to be even more enormous after the Celtics and Lakers sale. But is it going to be enormous enough to make up for the money that will be going out to these teams if you expand and you are now sharing not among 30 teams, but among 32 teams? And that is a real thing for these billionaires who are not billionaires by accident. So I think those two realities, that the TV contract, 6 months ago, that TV contract wasn't done, that the TV contract has been finalized for the amount of money that it has been across all the platforms they're going to be on next season. And that is a reality now for them, how much they would be giving up over the future years and ad infinitum to the future, right? Because you assume once they're there, they're there. You're not contracting. So into perpetuity, how much money are you giving up by now splitting the pie 32 ways instead of 30? And is there an expansion price high enough to make up for that, given how much the TV money is? And then also, given that they want more TV money in the future, if the ratings crash out because you don't have enough talent and enough markets to go around, that's going to be a problem too. And so I don't think expansion is definitely a no, But I think those are some of the reasons for why we're seeing it pump the brakes a little bit. And I feel bad for people in Seattle in particular, people in Las Vegas. We love you, but you've gotten a bunch of new teams lately. Seattle's been waiting a very long time. I am a bring back the Sonics fan for sure. And I think they got, it's wonderful that we have a team in Oklahoma City that's so successful, and that's proven to be a tremendous market for that team. But also there should be a team in Seattle. And you look at some of the teams that were rumored to move there over past years, and maybe in the end, that's what will end up happening is instead of a new team in Seattle, we'll get a team decide to move there. We haven't had a franchise move in a long time. And as we know, in every professional sport, it does happen.
And, Adam was asked about Portland and their sale coming up. And he said that it's, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said they wanted the team to stay in Portland. But he didn't say it was, and I guess he can't really say that it's a requirement that the team stays in Portland. But he did note that the team needs a new arena. Like, the Moda Center is an old building. It's not great. They need, whoever buys the team is going to have a new arena plan for Portland or somewhere else. Could we see Portland ultimately move? I don't want to put that into the water supply. Nobody's even suggesting that yet because they're still very early in that process. But, maybe.
We all know there's franchises that are not doing well at the
there
game,
are,
right?
New Orleans is up there.
I love New Orleans. It's my favorite city in the world. But I got to tell you, you walk into that building, it is largely empty.
It's awful. And it's a bad building, too. It's not a good building. It's another building needs to.
And by the way, that city is not in a position to contribute to buying a new building. And that is an ownership group and an ownership that is sort of part of the old guard of owners who are not the sort of techno-billionaire hedge fund. And so I don't think they're suddenly erecting a new building on their own. So that could be a factor. Again, I'm not trying to take a team away from any of these cities. Memphis that, has had some of its own gate problems. But the reality is the reality. And it is possible, because we have seen it in every sport over and over again, that we could get a team moving before we get an expansion. And if that happens, I hope that it's Seattle, because I think.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because it did make me wonder, as I was processing this press conference and I asked a question about, like, because he speaks very vaguely sometimes. He speaks a lot. And he speaks very vaguely, though, sometimes. So the question I asked him was, what was the temperature of the owners about expansion right now? And what is the number one obstacle? And he kind of evaded both. He said their temperature was curious, which is, I was not.
Is that
really
on the scale?
That was not on the scale.
In Las Vegas, it's 113. Is curious below 113 or above?
I thought he was going to go with like lukewarm or something like that. I don't know. But he went with curious. So it didn't really answer necessarily the question. But it is an interesting idea to ponder whether, these owners are looking at some of these struggling markets that don't draw particularly well, markets that don't have new arenas, and wondering if they are candidates. I do think that all the owners want to see teams in Seattle and in Las Vegas. It's just how those teams get there, I think, may be an open question at this point. Maybe expansion is not the solution. Maybe their eyeballs did bulge when they saw 11 years, $76 billion on the TV deal, while they're already struggling with local TV deals as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I think that's worth watching, I think, in the year to come. Like, does Portland get sold? Does a new owner say, I'm going to build a new building? Does New Orleans continue to struggle at the gate? Does it start to get momentum or some questions about whether they'll stay? It could get interesting. All I know is that, like, I went into that Adam Silver presser thinking, like, all right, there's going to be momentum here. They're going to say, like, we're ready to take bids. I was waiting for the B word, Rachel, the bids word, to come in to Adam Silver. I didn't get that. In fact, I got the exact opposite. When he said we're at day one, that told me they're a long way off.
Can we cross our summer league rumors? And by the way, this is the time of year for all of that, because all of us in the NBA stratosphere are bored and want exciting things to happen. Can we get a LeBron will demand to be traded to Seattle rumor going, even though they don't even have a team yet? I don't know.
I think he's more likely to demand Vegas. And he's going to say, I'm now owner of this team. I now own this team.